What's going on, guys? The Solo series was a movie. Esports World Cup is gearing up to be one, and FNCS is right around the corner. 2026 is heating up and heating up fast. We got so much to talk about, like Higgs winning it all in epic fashion. Esports World Cup heats are shaping up, and then FNCS duos are getting ready to play these divisional cups with the major right around the corner. Let's get right into the mix. As some of you may know that watched it live with me, I got blessed with a chance to do everything with Ozzy. We did a little bit of a casting watch party where we broke down the games and we actually did some commentary live, so it was actually fun to watch. What made it more of an epic story for Higgs, someone I've been a fan of since NA West. That's where I started with our commentary, was able to win it all, but it did not look that way throughout the entirety of the tournament. It was Rapid who was the star of the show. Day one, he had an epic performance, 332 points. He had all of his games being inside of the top 15, with his worst being 12th with one elimination. He was just on fire, even was able to get a win, which was the most incredible part. He looked unstoppable at one point, almost having an 80+ point lead, which you guys know in solos, it's so hard to remain that consistent, which makes that performance on day one by Rapid that much more impressive. But Higgs was actually having a pretty good day as well. Unfortunately, it was that 80-point deficit that made things look bleak, but he did have two different wins throughout day one, which showed he did have the blueprint for success. It was the little bit of inconsistencies going down in the early game. He had a 67th with one elimination. He also had a 53rd with 0 eliminations. So a couple of games there where he didn't get any or no points at all. So this is where it makes it difficult to think who is going to catch up to him. Bolts was also right on his tail on day one with 240 points. Scare was there with 238. Then there was a little bit of drop off with Sphinx at 209. Vert and Zavi with 201, and then even Muzz in 8th place, remember that, at 186 points. But day two, there was a little bit of a different story. Muzz actually was the #1 player on day two, 298 points. He was unable to get the win, and that was actually one of the key parts that makes this such an impressive tournament, because he lost by a couple of those games where he got second instead of first, third instead of first, or maybe even 10th instead of getting third inside of the top 5. It's those points you do leave on the table. And then with eliminations being for 3 points, it was Higgs overall in the tournament that had a 4 elimination difference. That alone is just 12 more points, but Higgs put on a show down to the very last game. We had at least 4 different players that could have won it all, with Higgs, Muzz, Rapid, and Bolts. And just watch the clip. And while Higgs was having such a phenomenal day winning the tournament, Muzz eventually getting second place, it was Rapid who had not a good day on day number 2. He wasn't able to keep up that same consistency. 128 points on day 2. He was the 26th best player. He did win the tiebreaker over Noxy, and then 1 more point over someone like Yamzo, but it was 22nd, 19th, 85, 40th place. His best game was a 10th place with 2 eliminations. It was looking like he was going to be the one with all the options going into FNCS. He is playing with Cold in the Esports World Cup, but unfortunately, he just kind of fell short of his own expectations, but he did do good enough to still remain inside of the top 3. So I still think he has a story that he's writing for the rest of 2026. So be on the lookout for him. Bolts did finish in 4th place. I mentioned him as somebody that did go into the last game as someone who had a chance to win it all. I remember back, he did win an FNCS in NA West. He did win Atlanta DreamHack Solo Championship, so I know he is still there as one of the players when it comes to the solo competitions. Sphinx also put up a good performance as somebody who's like the IGL for most of his rosters. You know, he's a fighting IGL, or at least someone who can play around all the chaos that solos does have to offer. Then you got Scare. Zavi did remain in 7th. Acorn, one of the biggest brains in all of the region, had a impressive performance on day number 2. big win in over Higgs, I do believe it was, and it was an epic win as well. Go ahead and watch this clip.
Couldn't close that one off for him. Now he's got two people to deal with on low ground, and we know Abdullah has the mythic pump. Higgs weakens him up. I'm guessing Acorn's going to get the finish there. He does. Finally takes down FV, but Higgs drops down into zone, tanks some Storm. He has that Chug though, so he plays the material, and if he can hold this Chug, he goes back up to almost full health, but Acorn not giving him a second to breathe. Acorn has 0 builds. Noxy trying to shoot fish in the barrel, 0 builds as well. Higgs is the only player in this one with any material, which gives him a huge advantage, and it's Higgs versus Acorn to close it out.
I think Acorn might know he's healing down below. You have to put pressure, literally like you did seconds ago, but giving Higgs all this time to heal is basically giving him a chance to fight back. 30 left on the Chug. That's all of the quick heals he does have left, but now comes the pressure from Acorn. Cone after cone, but no builds to replace him. That's what he's fighting against, all of the material from Higgs, and this is his chance. He's taking layer after layer. Acorn's trying to do what he can to stay on top, but Higgs has all the opportunity in the world and finally has overthrown him, taken the high ground, but doesn't have a huge health advantage. He goes out wide, and Acorn takes it all and gets the elimination.
I cannot believe it.
That's where we round out our top 10 with both Chance and Salt. And Salt, that's somebody that came into this competition getting, I think, #1 in consistency in his heat. So I was kind of looking at him throughout the competition. Maybe he can get inside of the top 5 if he remained that consistent. But sometimes it's just hard when the zone doesn't pull your favor with the new Storm Surge changes that they're still using in solos. So to me, overall, I'm still so impressed with, I think, how everything shaked out, how good these players played. Congratulations one more time to Higgs, and well, on to NA West, where a movie turned into a nightmare. Yeah, it was a little bit of a nightmare. I missed day #1, so that one is on my bad, but I chose to watch UFC on Saturday, Fight of the Year, so I think I made the right decision. You guys let me know in the comments below if you guys think I made the right decision, but day 2, I saw a lot of stuff on social media, so I had to see it for myself. I wanted to see who the NA West champion was going to be, and well, I saw some stuff for myself. Go ahead and take a look. But I saw some other stuff for myself as well. I saw Pars putting up an incredible performance, 421 points. He did get a game win, so I'm going to be looking at him at the top of the leaderboard for now. We'll see how it continues to shake out. Koff's in 2nd place, 378. Z-Link is going to go ahead and be in 3rd place in my book. That's going to be the biggest surprise because he was at the top of the leaderboard after day #1. He was looking pretty good, pretty aggressive, just wasn't able to continue to claim that top spot. Arc was right there as well, 365 points. He's somebody I was kind of looking at that maybe reclaimed the throne as the top spot, but maybe it's just a little different in solos. I do know that, you know, he's being a fragger with Kanata is a whole different thing to him playing solos in a solo competition. Vork's somebody I'm excited to see do well. Last year, I had a close eye on him. We did see him at the top of the leaderboard in a bunch of different tournaments early on, but as the tournament went on, he kind of fell down outside of the top 5, outside of the top 10. So this year, I want to see him kind of clean that up, execute perfectly at the end of tournaments in his games, whether if it's solos, duos, or whatever it may be, and really kind of, you know, come into his stride when it comes to NA West. I don't know if I'm saying that name right, so please forgive me if I'm right. Not 360, losing the tiebreaker, not only because of the win, so I will say that, but a little bit of an elims if things did not shake out in Vork's way, didn't get that win, he would still kind of win the tiebreaker. Luis is there. Raygun, somebody I kind of know. He joins the stream up a little bit. I want to see him continue to perform. I think he got better throughout the year. Last year, he continued to reach the top of the leaderboard, multiple finals, and he gave himself a chance, but I just want to kind of see him put himself above and beyond when it comes to this region. Malibuka is there, almost rounding out the top 10. Yes, that is the Malibuka from EU, so I can only imagine what type of, you know, stuff he went through on this region with the ping differential, possibly getting pushed by others, but impressive performance there. Cyclops, Larkos, Evolved, Retro kind of rounding it out. We do have Jules as you continue to go down the leaderboard. We got Poppy Blast. Poppy Blast is somebody I was kind of looking at to really perform, but I think it was a little distracted along with Victor V, playing 2 tournaments, Central and NA West. They didn't even necessarily play every single one of their games out in the same fashion that they want to, because there was 2 tournaments going on. I wish they would have focused on that one region. I think we would have saw a little bit of a different performance, but you know what I mean? You make your decision, you make your decisions. You got Z-Dog from OCE. I'm learning a little bit about him. One day I accidentally popped into his stream. Next thing you know, I see him on NA West Finals. And next thing you know, maybe he's qualifying for the Global Championship. Who knows? Who knows? I've seen weirder things happen, even though that wouldn't really be that weird, would it? If he's claiming, or he's continuing to be one of the best players of his region, because I do believe he won his solo series finals as well. If I'm wrong, I don't know. Put in the comments below. Call me out. I'm ready to hear it. But that is NA West in a nutshell. I'm excited to see how this continued regions to form. I'm going to be following the action all year long, so make sure you join along with me. Now on to the Esports World Cups, where things continue to get exciting. Remember, it's $2.5 million up for grabs, with 1.5 million of that in the qualifier process alone, and it's 1 million at the land. So these guys are playing for some actual money, and I call this an early look at the heats because nothing is final until Epic Games, Fortnite, or whoever's running the tournament locks it in. But let's go ahead and take this early look, where Agers and Ritual in Heat 1 are going to be contested by Aviv and Skittles. I'm not too concerned about Agers and Ritual right now. Aviv and Skittles as well, they're both kind of good fighters, but I do think both of these teams, with it being Steamy Stacks, will be able to come out with some loot. Maybe one's taking the backside, one's taking the front side, and both of them have rotational, like the crash pads, like the shockwaves, and the Steamy Stacks itself. If you go down, there's another contested fight where I think whoever lands on that south side of Steamy Stacks will be able to get some damage, possibly eliminations, getting players out of the sky if they're rebooted. But also in this heat, we got Acorn and Bolts. That's going to be a team that's uncontested overall, and it's going to be a scary team in this tournament, especially with how well both of them have played in the latest solo series and how both of them are looking primed up and ready to go. As you continue to look out, Jargo and King, Genji's newest pickup, is also in this heat. Some team that's looking a little bit scary here with the potential to really upset some teams, so they could be qualifying for the Esports World Cup. Who knows? I know they're kind of looked at as the second team because it's Agers and Ritual, who are Genji's main team, or however, you know, people kind of look at it. You know, you're on the roster, you perform well, it happens, you know what I'm saying? But that is going to be heat number 1. Let me know what you guys think about heat number 1. But on to heat number 2, and this is where, if you don't really pay attention to Fortnite, you might recognize a lot of names, but there is Arc and Kanata. We do got Curve and Craze. We got Jez Jerem and Higher. So there is some names in here that you might be familiar with, and I'm excited to see how this one shakes out, because this is a pool where, yes, you could put some stock in those top names, but I think this is a chance for some of those underdogs, some of those players that are on the cusp of greatness, to really show their hand here in heat number 2. You know, this is where it really matters the most when it comes to Fortnite, because after this heat, if you don't make it through, you are done for qualifier number 1. But I will be looking at Arc and Kanata. They are looking primed up, one of the best teams in the region overall. I'll be looking at Curve and Craze, uncontested on their side of the map, especially if the zone goes in that direction. They won't really have to worry about much, because the next closest team to them is going to be contested. That's Chris Drew versus Jace and Aloe. So that's a team that you got to look out for. Maybe they get contested at Slurpee, but maybe they split the drop as well. So maybe it's not a real fight. It's the north side of the map that I'm looking at, where it's 4 teams apparently contesting each other, and then the eastern side of the map, where you got 3 teams contesting each other. And this is where it does get dicey, because that's where you start to switch up your drop spots. Maybe even fresh off the reboot, if you get eliminated, you start to stray inward or downward depending on where you're at. So I'm going to be on the lookout at this heat to see who actually does make it out alive. It's going to be scary. Let me know. Heat number 3, I'm looking at this as the possible scariest heat we are going to see in the Esports World Cup for NA Central. This is where you have Clicks and Higgs, Josh Iamzo, Electro and Ulk. This is where you have Visual and Braze, Muzz and Threats, Oliver and Diego. I can go on and on and on, but that's just going to, you know, be pointless at this point. This is the one where it's going to be hardest to get out alive in. This is the one where you really have to lock in. Josh Iamzo are going to be contested by Electro and Ulk. Oliver OG and Diego Plays are also contested. Vigils and Braids also contested by Scare and Osid, who are also in this group. Like I said, you can go on and on and on. I'm going to have some predictions later on once the heats are actually locked in. But again, this is just a little bit of a sneak peek. Muzz and Threats got that lighthouse locked down, and that's going to be interesting, because I did see a couple of games throughout this competition where if they pull zone over at that lighthouse, good luck to the rest of the lobby. But that is going to be heat number 3, and yes, there is one name missing, and that is going to be in the next one. Looking for 1, looking for 2, 3, 4. Well, what is the difference? Heat number 4, another hard heat, just like heat number 3. You got Peterbot and Poyo, uncontested at that drop, of course. You got Cold and Rapid. Cold playing with Veno. They're putting their name on the map, even though Veno's playing on 6 trillion ping. Then you got Rapid, who's a hot commodity right now. Players want to see him play with some of the best, and this could be an opportunity for him to show that he deserves to play with the best when it comes to the Esports World Cup. They're going to be contested by Sharkman and Yuz, though. That's going to be an interesting fight, but Steamy Stack's big. They could split it. On the eastern side, though, we got Paper and Rezi going head-to-head against Cooper and Sphinx. Paper, that's somebody that always showed resiliency when it comes to tournaments and qualifying for big moments. Last year, the Global Championship, he did it again with Epic Whale and Victor V in the last major of the year, the last chance that they had. They did get the job done, but Cooper and Sphinx, they've been around. They've been playing. They're a duo going into FNCS, so they have the chemistry. You may have to give them the nod, but who knows? Rezi is an up-and-comer, and I think he can kind of frag out with the best of them. Talk about resiliency, though. Miro and Chimp. Miro was somebody, again, almost qualified for the Global Championship last year after coming back and getting an opportunity to play with some good players on NA West. He's playing with Chimp here on Reload. Chimp is somebody that I feel like when it comes to game time has always been consistent, but maybe y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. So I'm excited to see how that team performs, and they are surrounded on the eastern west side by 2 different contested teams, so they should have a chance to loot up, possibly third party, get early game eliminations or Storm Surge if it comes down to it. This is where it starts to get interesting because this heat is stacked. I don't really care what anybody says. It's just as stacked as heat number 3. It's going to be hard for these teams to get out, especially if they have to rotate past each other. You guys know how shockwaves go. You know the chaos they bring to a game at any moment. So you're going to have to watch out, especially if you go down early on accident, or maybe somebody just got the best of you off spawn, because once you reboot in the sky, that's when everybody around you that is in render distance is going to take shots your way. But that is 4 sneak peeks of the Esports World Cup. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of those heats. With FNCS right around the corner, I do think the Esports Major 1 may be at Major 2. We're going to see another roster mania just like we normally do. But let me know what you guys think of the current teams, what you guys think of the current heats, and what you guys think of that solo series. Congratulations one more time to Higgs on NA Central, and Pars potentially. You guys think in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. It really does help the channel grow, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Beep beep.